Welcome back, everyone. POW Ponder Weather here. In this update, we're going to be talking about the polar vortex being displaced, bringing in a major ice storm and heavy snow heading into next week. So let's start off with the overall season-to-date snowfall analysis. You can see the graph on the right-hand corner of the screen, depending on where you live in the country, is how much snow has fallen in your area. And you can see how far south the snow has been so far, but there's many areas well below average for this time of the season. But we're going to be adding to these totals over the next 7 days. It's all because of the polar vortex disrupting, lodging down from the Arctic down into Greenland. Now that's polar air is all the way down into Canada with those 20, 30, if not 40 degrees below zero. And then as we head into this weekend, that Arctic air will be entering the United States and bringing a clipper system that's going to be coming across our northern areas. In fact, we've got widespread winter storm warnings on those areas up to the north into Montana, through portions of Wyoming. That extends into portions of the Dakotas, as well as into Iowa. There's going to be a pretty good clipper system that's going to be coming across, bringing a good swath of heavy snow for that regions over the coming days headed into this weekend. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel. It's also important to hit the like button as well. It definitely helps out more than you know. And I also started a second channel. This one's going to be called POW Ponder Ultra, and this one's going to be designed especially for short range weather analysis, but also a lot of educational content as well. So I'll be uploading content on that channel starting next week. So if you'd like to subscribe, you can just go to @POW Ponder Ultra and also have the link below, so it makes it easier for you to join that channel. So stay tuned for content on that channel heading into Monday of next week. So let's take a look at that snow swath of that clipper system, because it's going to be a sharp gradient of very heavy snow. These areas in pink, you're looking anywhere from 6 to 8 inches. And some of those higher elevations up there in Idaho into Montana, get it into the western slopes of Colorado. Yeah, you could be picking up over a foot of snow over the next 48 hours, but it's going to be kind of a thin swath of just kind of heavy snow. And this is pretty elevated for what's considered a clipper system. So, but it's kind of feast or famine. If you're in the north side of that or the south side of that, you're not going to get hardly anything. But if you're right in that zone, you're going to be getting some 6 to 8 inch snowfall totals. And some of these amounts could even range into the 10 to 12 inch range, heading through portions of Iowa there, going into Wisconsin, and eventually headed up into Michigan. That'll be over the next 48 hours. But take a look at the overall rain for the last 30 days, because we've had some impressive totals, guys. Obviously, California out there in the west needed all that rain in a big way, and it took a major dent in the drought. But even the desert Southwest got into the action as well. So we got a fair amount of rain, but in the midsection of the country, it was almost fairly drier where they definitely needed it, but where they really don't need it is down there in the southeast, where they've been really raked across the, with all that severe weather they've dealt with over the last 4 weeks. And unfortunately, we've got more rain for them and some more severe storms further south you live. But let's take a look at the overall drought, because man, this has been really impressive, done a major dent for California. Even some of these areas along the coast have already dipped all the way down just to abnormally dry conditions. I mean, considering where they were a month ago, this is a drastic change and improvement. So this is welcome rain and a welcome sight. Now, even though the rain is over for them, they still got all the snow melt to come. And there are some signs, some rains do come back for portions of California, but where they desperately need the precipitation across the midsection of the country, that's where they kind of missed out on the deal. But over here in the southeast, where you definitely see there's no drought conditions to take measure, they're going to be getting more, rain, because they're still going to actually be kind of in the warm sector as this really Arctic blast approaches. So here's the overall precipitation for the next 48 hours. There's the clipper system to the north. We are going to have a little bit of a short wave that's going to be coming across the deep south. This will be primarily on the day on Sunday, with some sporadic showers there down there into Victoria, down to the Houston Metroplex, and the Far East Texas. That'll swing into portions of, like, say, Shreveport area, into the Little Rock area, and portions of western Tennessee, with some sporadic showers during the day on Sunday. But there's the Arctic blast coming in from the north. It's got some true Arctic air with it, but it's going to be fighting this southeast ridge every step of the way. And that's the battle zone that we've been highlighting on this channel. Unfortunately, that battle zone, that's the culprit that's going to lead to a major ice storm in its wake, unfortunately. But look at all that cold air heading out west. Yeah, this is a kind of a rare system that a lot of the polar lobe actually heads into California, and we got a pretty significant trough that's going to be developing out there. But out ahead of it, further south into the warm sector, again, you're going to have to be dealing with some more severe storms as we get deeper into the day. On Sunday, they're into the Houston Metroplex and to far East Texas, going into, say, the Beaumont area, portions of Baton Rouge, into New Orleans. So be on the lookout. Nothing like what you saw last week. So, but you can still see some stronger storms and some quarter-size hail at times, and definitely some gustier winds with these storms as they roll through in the afternoon time frame. But as we go into Monday, that's when things really start to get complicated and interesting, and very challenging forecast, to say the least, heading into next week. We've got this significant trough that's going to be diving into across the west, right? That's going to bring the colder temperatures. You could even wake up to 38 degrees down there in Los Angeles. That's chilly for them. But you can see out ahead of it, it's got a little bit of lift associated with it as the Arctic air approaches. So there's going to be, a warmer, obviously warmer than average temperatures right across the deep south. But you're going to have Arctic air plunging in from the north. That's going to cause these overrunning conditions. So let me explain what's going to happen here. So here's the temperatures. Let's look at the 850 temperatures. That's about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and this is about Monday afternoon. So this is where it gets complicated, guys. Look at what the temperature is aloft. We always look at the atmosphere at all layers of the atmosphere, right? So this is at 5,000 feet. It's 10 degrees Celsius. That equates to about 50 degrees. That's plenty warm, right? But check out, that's in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, say out in West Texas, northwest of the Metroplex, as in, Monday around 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. Look what's happening at the surface, guys. We're talking 32, 30 degrees. So we're talking a 20-degree swing between what's happening to the upper levels and what's going to actually happen at the surface. So that's the challenge here, guys. So you got a south wind pulling in, rising that warmer air as it rises, it heats, and then it's 50 degrees, 5,000 feet. But the Arctic air sinks. It's very dense, it's shallow, and it sinks to the surface. So that rain falls into that warm layer and then freezes on contact. That's the concern of that storm, that ice storm that will be taking shape. So you can see the Arctic air plunging in from the north. These are actual high temperatures going into the afternoon time frame on Monday, well below zero up there further to the north. You got single digits pressing southbound into Nebraska and to Iowa. These are the actual temperatures, folks, going into those single digits. Down there in Kansas, 20s, widespread 20s for the Oklahoma area. And that's the sharp gradient to the difference in temperatures. And unfortunately, with that difference, what's going to fall as rain will freeze on contact. That's the beginning stages of what the developing ice storm should take and come to fruition, originating in West Texas, northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting into the Oklahoma area, as those temperatures start to freeze at the surface. So before that, you've got the rain with the southwest winds. These are over the overall precipitation over the next 48 hours, over the next 84 hours. You got the snow swath to the north, you got the rain to the south side, and then you're going to have a sleet, freezing rain type mix starting on Monday night. But look what's happening. That's, right now the mesoscale guidance of the NAM only goes out so far. It only extends through Monday evening. And the problem is that is very good. It actually sees shallow cold air, and the global models technically really don't. Look at the differences what we're working with. You saw the NAM right at 32 degrees, 30 degrees, right? Here's the latest European at the exact same time frame. That's a 44 degrees. That's a difference of 12 degrees, folks. That's the difference between rain and ice. And that's the concern, as some of these global models are just not cold enough. And it can't see it this far out because the NAM only goes out 84 hours. So that's the concern as we go into Tuesday, because that Arctic air continues to plunge and sink southbound. And now it's got a little bit more lift. We're going to have multiple disturbances that are going to be coming across. So we could be looking at some significant ice totals starting to build out there in West Texas, maybe northwest of the Metroplex there into portions of central and southern Oklahoma here. But look where the rain is. But this is the European. So the difference in temperatures could be a couple degrees. All this could actually be freezing rain. So don't let your guard down just because this actually shows rain right now. This could easily be freezing rain and freeze on contact. So this is the concern going forward as we get deeper into the next week, as that Arctic shallow cold air sinks and just the global models aren't going to be picking up the true dense Arctic air mass of what this Arctic front's going to bring, because it's going to be slowly shifting. So it's a battle zone. We've been highlighting on this channel for a while. You got the south wind, you got the warm temperature gradient to the south, you've got Arctic air sinking, and that's the overrunning concern. It could be really extended with multiple systems coming across. This is Wednesday morning. Again, ice, West Texas, Oklahoma could easily be closer into the DFW Metroplex. We're moving across Arkansas, moving across portions of western Tennessee. This is the challenging forecast that we have to work with getting into deeper next week, as that deep Arctic shallow cold air will be. Here's the latest icon, and this has a little bit, better understanding. This is the German model going out until Wednesday afternoon. Sees the temperature right at 33 degrees. This could easily be, 30 or 31. That makes all the difference in the world of kind of a chilly cold rain versus just freezing on contact and making a complete nightmare out here. But yeah, more higher confidence as a out west into West Texas and Oklahoma. We're talking a significant ice storm, unfortunately, but that could easily bleed into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, no question, as these temperatures trend a little bit colder as we speak. Now, the Canadian is probably the most bullish of the global models, and it actually might be onto something, unfortunately. So that right here is the high temperature, 29 degrees, picking up on more of that ice. You can see the difference, dropping those temperatures even down into central Texas into the freezing mark. So that would anticipate all this would be freezing. The precipitation is coming, and it's not a snow event for Dallas. It's an ice event. So it's either a chilly rain or an ice event. And then up in Oklahoma, you're going to get both. You're going to get ice and the heavy snow. So, but once you go into Arkansas, this could be a sharp gradient of a good ice swath through Arkansas, portions of Missouri, through portions of western Tennessee, getting into portions of Kentucky. This could be the kind of the nightmare scenario unfolding by the middle of the week. And unfortunately, if the Canadians even somewhat bringing those temperatures down, even dropping them difference of 4 to 5 degrees, makes all the difference of the world, because this is the latest ensemble guidance hinting at multiple ensembles bringing in a devastating ice storm across portions of Texas, could even be as far east as Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll have to watch this and really fine tune this as we get closer into next week. But it doesn't end there, because we have another trough that comes in on Thursday. So this could be a multi-day event unfolding as the Arctic air will continue to plunge south. We have multiple disturbances that come across the deep south all week long, creating that more lift up in the atmosphere. This one could lay down a bucket of heavy snow by then, because all the layers of the atmosphere are going to be cold enough to snow by then. So we could be looking at a blanket of snow, breaking out on Thursday afternoon in and around the Oklahoma area, and that fishtails into Virginia, could even bleed as far south as Charlotte area. So I do feel what these global models are showing, it's probably going to be a little bit further south than what you're seeing in this picture right now. But what's eventually going to happen is the Arctic air is going to be winning. Most ensemble guidances has this continue to push heading into Friday. So it's heading all the way to Mexico, guys. Regardless, eventually it will. But it's going to be a slow process, really all week long. And then once we hit Friday, it'll definitely be in and around deep South Texas with those coldest temperatures. So it's a long week ahead, a chilly week for most of you guys down in the South, and could be a devastating week with a lot of high impact on travel with ice, because it's very difficult to drive in on ice, and some of these totals could be really fairly significant as we get deeper into the next week. But what's going to happen as we go into next weekend is we are going to be, once you see the plunge, once you get the plunge down all the way down to Mexico, you're going to start getting a rebound. You're going to start getting a rebound. This probably won't happen until the 4th, 5th, probably closer to the 5th time frame. But it's going to have that sharp temperature gradients where the squeeze play really elongates and basically heads into the northeast. So they're going to get the coldest anomalies at the same time that that low pressure center will be heading up the coast by then. So we could break, I know it's a long ways out, we could break the snow drought happening in New York City. I know you're basically going to be breaking a record over the next couple of days, but you know, all indications that it's probably going to be cold enough for sure. If this is going to remain further inland, it could, break the snow drought by the time we get into next weekend or in and around the New York City area, and that'll bring a blanket of snow across portions of the Boston area into Rhode Island, into Massachusetts, into Connecticut. So, but there's the snow swath over the next 7 days. So there's the Clipper system. So it's a step down effect. There's the Clipper system. That's the first punch. And as the Arctic air comes through, as multiple systems come across, there's the snow swath that's going to be blanketed in portions across Oklahoma, through Missouri here, through Arkansas, heading into Virginia. This is also going to be a sharp, deformation zone as well, blanketing a pretty good heavy swath. And further to the south, it's all about the ice. And this is the concern. This is the blend of all the models. You're talking the European, the Canadian, the GFS, all of them combined. It's more of an ensemble guidance. This is a scary situation showing, look at that widespread ice storm across portions of West Texas, bleeding into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, covering almost the entire state of Oklahoma here, Arkansas, going into Missouri, through portions of western Tennessee and Kentucky. So that's the concern, as obviously this would be high impact event with a lot of travel delays as we get deeper into next week. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this channel, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me in the next update while I protect you before and after storm.